Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Blake and Blake Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell here live at Fergs on Central Avenue. We got Tampa Ray Kennedy in the building. How you doing today, buddy?
Awesome. Great to be here with you guys.
Yeah, I think everybody can hear us pretty much.
If not,
tested
let us
out
know.
these mics.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely let us know here. As
I will sing
always.
again.
Oh, please don't.
It was
Please
bad, wasn't it?
Don't sing again.
I'll take it from Peter. Will you shut up and
Yeah,
be
Thank you
quiet?
guys. Appreciate it.
Exactly here. So we're just looking at this, and I'm not. Okay.
There it is. It's just
Yeah.
a layer. All right, let's
Well,
rock.
there we
Keep
go.
rocking.
Okay, so we do have sound, guys. Again, we're live here at Fergs on Central Avenue. Of course, 5 days away from this NFL draft show. I know all of you are ready for it. I know I'm ready for it. But before we get to that, and again, if you don't know, yours truly, along with Al Keck, 40 years of sports broadcasting experience, and of course, Pat Yacinskis, who's covered the NFL since 1993 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Carolina Panthers, and of course, ESPN will be here starting about 7:30. We'll start the pregame show up, getting you ready, get your mock drafts ready. 6 o'clock, we'll go get some fans' responses, stuff like that. And then we'll start off at 8 o'clock, and we'll be going Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I know you're going to make an appearance probably the second night. I know you're going to be there all 3 days.
And
so-
what's cool, what Peter was saying, Bucs Report is going to be all over the place. They'll be here doing Ferg's first time ever live draft party. Me and Mr. Keith Larson will be at Ray J doing.
Oh, we're gonna allow. Okay, so this is the developing relationship that Bucs Report has with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
Yep.
because they've actually credentialed us to go out to the draft party because we know what we're doing. Sometimes with our apps, we're gonna have live response from the official draft party
Yep.
for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we'll have you
we're all
covered
over.
here. We'll have you covered there. We'll have you covered everywhere on draft weekend on BucsReport.com, Bucs Report on Facebook. Join the evolution of sports talk television, and of course, Blake and Blake Sports. We're all together on this on Bucs Report. Again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Ray Kennedy and Blake Cabell. So, guys, what shall we talk about? Shall we talk about the schedule release for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And thank you very much to the NFL for not giving the Bucs a home game until Week 10. What do you think of this? What do you make of this, Blake?
My chair is going to be lonely in Section 147 stand up. It's going to be lonely for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, it's whatever. We knew something crazy was coming with the whole London game, et cetera, et cetera. But whatever. I don't really care as long as the Bucs go out and perform like the way they're supposed to do and win. I know we're going to get a bunch of home games come near the end after that large gap. I think the last two games are home against the Panthers and...
Sure.
The Panthers. Who's that? The Falcons. No, it's the Falcons.
Falcons are the last game.
Falcons
Yes.
are the last game, and the game before that is
They
a home.
played the
It's a home.
Panthers the first couple weeks.
in Carolina.
First five games.
Carolina and then London, of course, and you
Yeah.
go to London, and then you have some games versus Tennessee and Seattle, which will be tough. I went out on the limb. I know Tony Rossi wrote up an article, which you can check out at BucsReport.com. He said 7-9. I'm a little bit more optimistic at this point. I said 10-6. What are you thinking?
We haven't
Then we're
even
gonna get you
we
in.
haven't even
All
drafted
right.
yet. But if we're just going off what a roster is right now, I say about 500.
Okay. What are you thinking?
Well, and you touched on this the other night with your show, is that, for years and years and years, literally every year since its inception in 1976, we've complained about the fact that usually all of our home games, even up through November, are always at 1 o'clock
Roasted.
at the old Sombrero, now at Raymond James. And finally this year, we got the 4 o'clock games in 3 of the first 6 games at home. But then you got to take into account that long road, and maybe we're the road warriors. Give us a little adversity. We've got Bruce Arians, we've got Todd Bowles. Give us something. Make us against the world. Lord knows it was Columbus against the Lightning, and we saw how that played out.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think it will be a tool for Bruce Arians to use for this team. And what you're hearing in the background is Mr. Alexander
He
brought
made it.
him out. He wants his own show on Bucs Report. I wonder if he could draw 1,000 views. What do you think?
He probably can. He's gonna get his own. He'll get his own fan base.
He's a dog, all right.
He is a dog.
He's
he
a
is
dog.
a dog. All right, so we're live here at Fergs on Central Avenue. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Ray Kennedy, Blake Cabell on Blake and Blake Sports. I'm just excited about this draft party coming
Man,
up.
it's
We
gonna
got
be
the
awesome.
mixer working now. You can hear us
Thank
loud
you to
and
Sam
clear.
Ash.
Yes, absolutely.
you.
95 years of your musical needs, 926 McMullen Booth Road in Clearwater.
Even live customer service we got.
Live
Yes,
today.
we did. From your brother who helped us out. We finally figured it out ourselves. But how many people does it take to figure out how to hook up a mixer?
4.
Right.
Well, see,
Which ones will we up for, Mike?
when you want to go with the professional audio, a place like Sam Ash, that's why these days so many things are canned and you can purchase it. It comes in a nice, tidy box. But when you want that real professional audio and you want to kick it up a notch, we're not dealing with Latin here. It's a little bit, but then to have that live service and to get that fantastic professional service from Sam Ash, unbeatable.
Yeah, unbeatable. So again, tell them the Sports Web, Peter Blake sent you, and they may definitely hook you up with a discount. But Mike McDermott, he took care of us big time. We got a great mixer here, great equipment, and it's just going to get better from here on out. Just because they got road games being in the Bucs, does that mean that we could have something planned here on the Sports Web and Bucs Report? Stay tuned. I got some tricks up my sleeve. But we talk about the schedule, and with all the road games being a challenging tool for this team going forward. But I think everybody's mind right now is on the draft, only 5 days away, and there have been rumors the clear favorite at this point could be Devin White. Todd McShay seems to think so, but there have been some other reports about Ed Oliver possibly being there and possibly Josh Allen. So what do you make of this, Blake?
Everybody just loves. Devin White came to rise, of course, over with the 40 time. It's pretty much put at a standstill, stood there, and then he made a lot of great plays in college. But at the end of the day, it's whatever Bowles plans on using him. If he's gonna, we need pass rush here. So if you plan on using him as a pass rusher plus a linebacker, then you're getting the most out of him. Then by all means, go ahead and get Devin White. But I mean, our staple.
You sound so excited about it. You really do.
I mean, go ahead. Y'all know me.
I think there's some good things to him.
Yeah.
Look, if he's going to be the new face of your defense, I understand it. But a middle linebacker, when you have defensive linemen on the board, and I'm not in favor of passing on a Quinnen Williams or Josh Allen or
any of the
even an Ed Oliver at this point, because I think Oliver, a lot of people are saying maybe the Jets. Bucs Report, Tony Rossi just wrote an article about Albert Breer coming out and saying the Bucs would be interested, the Jets would be interested. It's something you got to watch, and I always subscribe to this theory is the fact that with all these rumors coming out now, were they really rumors right now, or were they just being reported by the media right now?
A lot of it's going to be the media, the hype, and what guys are looking at the 30 visits. I think the Bucs, they looked at a lot of people in them 30 visits, which is good. You throw smoke screens everywhere because everybody wants to play that cat and mouse game to get trade ups and trade downs, et cetera, et cetera. Well, like I said, I wouldn't be mad, but I always go with defensive linemen, especially when we're lack of talent behind our initial starters to begin with. Again, our only blessings last year was Carl Nassib, and that was a steal. Right. Otherwise than that, we don't really have
6.5 sacks, but it's only 1 year.
It's only 1 year. What if he goes down injured? Then what are you going to do now?
You got JPP. You got
have a lot of
McCoy,
options.
who's most likely not going to be on this team. I mean, what do you think? White at 5? Are you okay with it, or are you a guy that is a lot like both of us here, where you want to see a pass rusher like an Allen, like an Oliver, or like a Quinnen Williams?
Makes a difference, a pass rusher.
And I'm not, you know what? Devin White is a great player. I'm not saying a team wouldn't be fortunate and lucky to have him, but the Bucs do have a way of somehow develop. We always do usually develop good linebackers, and it starts up front. And I'll tell you what, today was the first time I'd seen a mock draft that actually had Josh Allen falling to us at number 5.
Right.
And, the thing is I think I run a mock draft in my head every day, right? Don't we get up every day and we look at it?
I think we all do.
Right.
I think we're all football fans here, and we're live on Bucs Report. This is Blake and Blake Sports. Yours truly, along with Blake Cabell, Tampa Ray Kennedy. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so I believe if Quinnen Williams, I'm in love with Quinnen Williams. I love this kid. I love the story. I love his heart. He has swagger. Yep. He's got size. He's got speed, and he seems to have that burst in the initial step.
He went to Bama.
Right, and he went to Bama. So he's proven, he's tested. So man, if somehow he comes at number 5, there is no doubt in my mind. And before it used to be Josh Allen was that player, but I think Quinnen Williams is the player I like at number 5. I'd love to see
he brings more versatility than Allen.
Right.
Allen wasn't really asked to put his hand in the dirt and do a whole lot of other things. He was a stand-up rush.
Yep.
Which is not a problem either if he serves his purpose, getting to the quarterback. That's ultimately what the goal is.
Could he be the best player here in this draft, and the reason why he could fall to the Bucs is because there could be such a run on quarterbacks, because the rumor that we reported last night on the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television, 4 quarterbacks in the first round. I mean, possibly the top 15 picks. Are we believing that?
It's possible. The teams need quarterback. You need some type of validation for your future at the quarterback position besides waiting for next year. The only team that I know that ain't going to make a run for a quarterback, and I'll stand by that, is the Miami Dolphins. They're going to run with Fitzpatrick and maybe pick up a quarterback later rounds in the draft just for backup purposes. But I think they're ready for next year to get Tua and the boy from Clemson.
Yeah, no. And I tell you what, right now, you look at Fitzpatrick, all the cake that he supposedly ate from his kids, he doesn't look like he's a quarterback in shape at this point. Alexander just in the background here on Blake and Blake Sports. You got to love it.
He's finally here.
He actually got the cooler open. He's actually drinking. He's over here drinking a beer. He's so happy. Good boy.
What's that commercial? Here we go.
My dog some beer. You better stop doing that.
You got to go home with him, not me.
Right. So Josh Allen, Quinnen Williams on the board. I got to take those players over. Again, the trade out scenario is absolutely there for them. What if you trade out and those players are not on the board? Are you liking that scenario too because the draft is so deep?
Yeah, remember I told you, I said the way to win this draft.
You did tell me this, and I'll give you credit on it. You have, and Johnny Dean is the one that pounds the table every night on this whole deal with it being so deep and the draft grades being so similar. What if you trade out of that spot, you pick up an extra second or third round pick, and you pick up a Brian Burns or Jalen Ferguson?
Ferguson is a monster. I watched that tape. Well, I told you when I was looking at that same tape when I was watching Devin White as well as Louisiana Tech was playing LSU. And that boy can hold the ground and run and pass rush, Jalen Ferguson. And that boy's going to be a steal for whoever goes with, but wherever he goes to. But the reason I say the person that's going to win this draft is the one that somehow finds a way to get somebody good in that first round and loads up with 2 excellent players in the top of the second rounds. I'm telling you, I've said it all since we started talking about draft. Somebody's going to get some monster picks at the beginning of that second round. I just want it to be us on the end of that. I just don't want to get so locked into one guy and then be happy with that. I'm trying to get future players here because that's what we've been lacking here is constant depth, a future, rolling out older players and bringing in younger guys. Yeah. And that's the reason why we're in this issue now with McCoy. You don't really want to let him go, but at $13 million, you kind of got to let him go because you can't sign your rookies. You can't really make moves. You can't trade him because he's owed $13 million. We're in a conundrum. So when you got younger players, you don't really have to worry about all those options when you're constantly bringing in youth and talent every year and you got a plethora of players everywhere.
Yeah, no, and that's been the issue. And what do you think about the situation with Gerald McCoy? Is he basically out of here? Is he cut? Is he traded? Why are they taking so long? Is it because they're not trying to give away their draft card at this point, and most likely they could replace him with an Oliver or a Williams, a cheaper option at this point?
Yeah, you're probably going to wait till draft day or wait after and see if somebody missed out on a defensive lineman is going to need one. So, I mean, at this point, you don't need to do anything with him. You don't need to sign anybody at this point. I think we got pretty much everybody we needed with all those extra players. The safety we picked up.
Well, you have to do something with him because he's $13 million, and you have to free up because you only have about $2.6 million in cap. So you have to sign your draft picks, so you have to at least have $9 million to do that. So there has to be some decision either before the draft or during the draft.
Right.
Could you see him on draft night? Because a lot of people haven't talked about this scenario, but we've talked about it here on the Sports Web and Blake Sports. For them to trade up with the Jets or the San Francisco 49ers and get a Quinnen Williams and trade a McCoy and use him as a trade piece at this point.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible.
Well, I was going to say, like I wrote about earlier this week, the rule of 51 in the offseason, because some teams will carry 90 players and then 75 through camp, only the top 51 contracts actually count toward the cap. And when the rookies are actually, the moment they're drafted on draft night, rookies, whether you're first round or seventh round, third day, is only going to count about 450 to 500,000 against the cap.
Right.
So I get that we draft somebody, if we do draft number 5, we're looking at a 10 or 12, $13 million contract, but that will not even start counting until later this summer when their rookie rookie contract is signed. So why would it behoove the Bucs to get rid of Gerald? Because you know what? If we can still get Gerald to take a pay cut and stay here, we're still looking at a possible Pro Bowl player.
Is he really going to take a pay? I mean, in your opinion, do you think McCoy would take a pay cut to stay on this team?
He's a family man. He likes the area. He's got one hell of a man cave over there. Maybe he does. What other team? You know, the Eagles, when they first heard that Gerald might be available, were starting to go on Twitter and saying, hey, come to see us. But how much do you think the Eagles are going to spend? I don't think there's a team out there that's going to go over $10 million for Gerald McCoy.
All right, what you're watching right now is Blake and Blake Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Ray Kennedy, Blake Cabell here, live at Fergs, only 5 days away from our NFL draft party, starting at 6 o'clock. With all these mics now and a new mixer, we can get all these fans' responses on who they think the Bucs are going to draft, a mock draft. And then it starts at 7:30 with yours truly, along with Mr. Al Keck, 40 years of sports broadcasting experience, and Mr. Pat Yasinskis, who's covered the NFL for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Carolina Panthers, and, of course, ESPN. And we'll have you locked down for the next couple of days. And then the big announcement, if you missed it, was the fact that not only will we have a draft party here, but also we'll have you covered at the official draft party live from Raymond James Stadium with Mr. Blake Cabell over there giving you the latest reaction. So we're going to be a lot of places at once. It's going to be an interesting weekend here live at Fergs, 1320 Central Avenue in St. Pete. It's just a beautiful day. Get out here, great service, whether you want to watch the Rays, whether you want to watch the Lightning, which right now the Lightning have been a story this week. I never thought I would say it.
Talk about it.
Yeah, swept by Columbus. Or whether you want to watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, get over here, 1320 Central Avenue in St. Pete, and tell them the Sports Web and Peter Blake sent you.
And make sure you call the city St. Petersburg City Hall and tell them to get a damn stadium built over here. Let's not be stupid. Tampa's got the Lightning. Tampa's got the Bucs. We got the Rowdies, and let's keep the Rays. All right? Call City Hall.
I'll tell you what. Let's go out to Bucs Report. Let's talk with some of these fans. Travis Faley, who will be joining us here in a little bit, giving us our Lightning recap. My Lightning insider for Rocket Sports and Entertainment will tell me about what Steve Yzerman means leaving this franchise and what the future holds for the Lightning coming up. So stay right here. I'm telling you. All right, so Travis says 500 football would be a good season. We agree with that. To me, I'm more optimistic. I say 10-6.
We haven't even drafted, so that's why I say I'll just say 8-8 right now. I don't even know how we look. My answer might change after the draft.
Well, it's happened before. Yeah. Look, I mean, the Cardinals in 2012 were a 5-11 football team. Bruce Arians comes aboard. He brings that confidence. He brings the whole option of being a quarterback whisperer with Jameis Winston. He turned that team around, even though they weren't a playoff team, a 10-6 team. I think it can happen here, and I think they can make the playoffs with the talent that they have.
I think with Bruce Arians, I think he's going to come in here and he is going to spread his magic. And I think that the key is obviously between Jameis and Arians, but anyway, the thing is, I think that
more 29 points a game, lowering that. I think that would help a little bit.
I think I think our secondary is going to be a little bit more healthy this year. I think Hargreaves has his best year so far as a Buccaneer. I think Bowles can make magic with the defense, but I think that we have the potential to be a 10-6 team. But I think if the Arians experiments, if the wheels fall off of that too fast, it could be 6-10. I'm not saying that Arians isn't here again next year, but we know he's not long term.
Right.
He's coming in here to establish, to hire coaches, to bring some females into his coaching staff, which is fantastic. Right. To give Byron Leftwich a chance to be it. And Byron Leftwich may be our next head coach, if not Todd Bowles.
Who knows?
And who knows if he hands it off to them. But I think that with this schedule we got, that it could go 10-6, 6-10, 8-8. I guess, like Travis is saying, would probably be a pretty decent deal.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Let's see, Rumor City. Corey says Bucs need pass rusher. Jason Light's job on the line. I think everybody's job is on the line, but I think with Light having Arians there, another set of eyes, we'll see what happens. I feel pretty good about that situation. And again, I know I sound like a broken record, but if Josh Allen, Quinton Williams, or Ed Oliver on the board, I take them over Devin White.
No way.
I just do.
Even those two, I think even if you slid down a couple picks, you'd be able to still get one of those.
I know you slapped me when I said this yesterday, but talking about getting some trade capital or draft capital and trading back, I still think that we could still do a lot worse than looking at some of these. There's a couple of good, solid, middle of the first round offensive linemen. Yeah. Offensive linemen. I know we just re-signed Donovan. I know we've got other things happening, but we need a young, get down the field, knock people on their butt, run blocking type of offensive lineman. And we've got Ali Marpet, who's been showing how he's developed over the last couple of years, but we could still do a lot worse than going there somewhere in the middle of the first.
Well, I think right guard at this point with Alex Kappa, they anticipate him challenging for the starting job. Right. You have Earl Watford there. The concern is the right tackle, DeMar Dotson, 2 years removed from from the knee injury. I think he'll be better this year. Is he the future? Most likely not. But the reason why you re-signed him in the first place is because Arians and this coaching staff, and they've told the fan base out there that they're in win-now mode.
Yeah, and that's the thing why I changed my mock draft up. I did have a bunch of old linemen on there originally, but I changed that up by the point kind of what Ray's saying and kind of not. We do need young guys here. I agree with that. I said, but if you're gonna draft the guy, he's got to make immediate impact this year. And with the way Bruce Arians thinking is win now. So if you're in that mode, then you want guys that you're gonna play from day one, not a guy that's gonna sit in the whim and wait, because that's just a waste of time. Then you can just go get a lineman next year if that's the case.
Well, let me ask you this then: if the quarterbacks do have a run, and then with those defensive linemen and defenders still, and the linebackers seem to be a hot commodity, if a Jawan Taylor or a Jonah Williams does fall to like number 10 or 12, I mean, wouldn't that be a possible? And I know we're thinking Donovan Smith is making right tackle money, even though it is a new contract and Donovan got the money. But we could see that contract Donovan signed. He could move to right tackle at some point, and we may be looking for a Paul Gruber or a left tackle for the future now.
Yeah, no,
maybe,
absolutely.
Or you would know better than me, Blake.
I mean, to me, Donovan Smith is entrenched there. You don't sign him to an extension if he's not your future left tackle.
Nope.
Does he have potential? Absolutely. Has he lived up to that potential? Maybe not. But look, when you make the same case about Winston not living up to the potential on offense because of coaching, you can make the same thing, boys, about the offensive line and Donovan Smith. And I think the offensive line, I think the whole team is going to be improved. The biggest free agent acquisition for this team going forward was Bruce Arians and this coaching staff. And what you're watching right now here is Blake and Blake Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Blake Cabell, Tampa Ray Kennedy here live at Fergs on Central Avenue in St. Pete, only 5 days away from an NFL draft show with yours truly, along with Al Keck.
I think
and
Peter's going to miss me.
Yasinskis. The second night you'll be here.
Yeah, Peter's going to miss me the first day, guys.
I will miss you.
You guys have some tears. There was a last-minute change here. I'll be at the stadium, and Blake will be actually here at first. So, no, but let me tell you all this, and I said this last week when we were on here, is that you've watched a draft.
Right.
You've sat there and you yelled at the television.
Sure.
And you talked about this last week. We've listened to the Giants and Jets fans make their voices known. This year it'll be the Tennessee Titan fans in Nashville. Mm-hmm. Come down here so that we can react as Buccaneer fans. And, of course, if you're at the stadium, even better, look for Blake and get Blake over there, too. But come down here, watch the draft live with us. We're going to analyze each pick by pick, how it affects the Bucs. If we trade out of that pick, then you're going to have Al Keck, Pat Yasinskis, and Peter Blake here. We're going to analyze it on the spot.
Sure.
It's a Thursday night.
There's not another NFL draft show out there. They could be going live, but they're going live with their cell phone. We're going live streaming with the HD camera. We got great sound equipment here. Again, thanks to Sam Ash, a stage that Mark Ferguson's
building.
DJ? Right, a DJ, and
Fergs is the place to be.
It's going to be on the PA, and then on top of it, we're going to get your responses. We want to get your responses. That's what the evolution of sports talk television is all about. It's not just me flapping my gums and telling you what I think.
He does that anyway.
I want to know. Will you shut up? I want to know what you think here.
I want to hear this place when the Cardinals don't take Murray at number 1.
That's going to throw everything.
And I want to hear the Murray. How this place is going to go crazy.
Switch gears a little bit. Let's go to the NFL draft rumors. And by all accounts here, Kyler Murray is going to be the number 1 pick of the Arizona Cardinals, right? Because again, I make this point. Look, Murray was going to make guaranteed money in baseball with the Oakland A's. He wouldn't have given that up unless he was given some inside intel, and consequently, Cliff Kingsbury has the same agent as Murray. So if you don't think they were talking connect the dots.
You can't say, but you can give the head nod.
Exactly. So we assume that Murray's going to be the number 1. Nick Bosa, being the number 2 pick? Are we sold on that at this point?
I think 49ers are going to shock. I think 49ers are going to shock us at that
Okay.
pick. I think so.
Okay.
They've been needing secondary. They loaded up on defensive linemen for the past couple of years. I think they're pretty much done with that position. They got Quan.
They got a linebacker.
But they have yet to fill a safety and corner. They have yet to address that secondary for quite some time.
Would they go greedy? Would they trade down and go greedy Williams?
No.
I think they just pick greedy. If that's a guy, and that's the thing about the draft, you don't pick a guy who Peter thinks I should pick. You pick a guy that you know that's going to fit in your system, and you pick him. I don't care what the number is. You just pick him. If that guy's going to work for you, you know it's going to work. That's a slam dunk for you in the future. You ain't got to pick because whoever projects whatever player is best at that point in the draft, pick a guy you're going to use. That's how you win in this draft.
Now here's the thing, though. If there's a general manager in the league that knows the defensive line can make the secondary look sweet, it's John Lynch. Because when John Lynch was in our secondary, he had Warren Sapp up front.
When you don't have to cover for more than 3 seconds.
Yeah, so I mean, he understands that you go with an end like Nick Bosa, or maybe he even goes inside. Who knows? But he has to understand that the way to make a start is up front.
Would you go Quinnen Williams? Because that's been talked about. To me, that's what you got in DeForest Buckner. You had 12.5 sacks last year. You're not going to get the same player in Williams. So I think you go on the outside, either Nick Bosa or Josh Allen, right? Right? I mean, it's a certainty that Nick Bosa is going to be the guy.
Bosa's a legacy player. He's a legacy pick, right?
To me, Josh Allen's a better prospect overall for me.
He's a great edge rusher. He's
only going to get better.
Oh, God,
to me, Nick Bosa is what Nick Bosa is. It's not a bad thing.
No.
If he's especially like Joey Bosa, but he's.
His only thing is with his whole Twitter thing with him. That's the only real red flag I saw with him.
Yeah, and I like the Quinnen Williams comparison to Aaron Donald. And it's not, I mean, of course, he's got a lot to prove before he gets there, but if you look at the two of them, they have a similar play. And the 49ers being in San Francisco and having their brethren right up the road in Los Angeles with the Rams and Aaron Donald, would it behoove them not to think about going with an excellent defensive rushing lineman that's going to help their secondary, improve their rush, and also maybe makes Aaron Donald become number 2 fiddle after eventually?
Well, I took my own horn on the Aaron Donald one. I said that before that draft even came out.
Well, to me, Ed Oliver is more like Aaron Donald because they're both the same size, same measurables than Quinnen Williams, but the impact that Williams can make, he can absolutely destroy your line. He can penetrate. He can do exactly what you want.
I saw 3 guys blocking him one time.
Right.
And he was still standing him up like dancing.
Well, at that point, you can just hold your ground and hopefully somebody else makes a play. But Aaron Donald, that was the thing when I was talking about Aaron Donald. I said, this guy can move off the ball. I said, he is in the backfield before linemen are out of their stance. And there people's argument with me at that time with that draft was, well, look what team he plays for. He plays for Pitt. I said, Pitt or not. I said, he's beating people out of the stance. He's in the backfield.
Sure.
No matter who he's playing. Then lo and behold, look what happened. He became a monster. You ever seen the man with his shirt off? He don't even look like a defensive lineman.
No, they don't make him like they used to. I mean, he's not full of pudding. That guy is definitely built to last, and he definitely lasted for the Rams. He's one of the main reasons.
Been healthy.
Right, and if you can get a player like that, if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you got to go for it over a linebacker. I get it. He's a talented linebacker. He can hit. He can run sideline.
Just because he runs fast.
Right.
I mean, otherwise
he still has some warts there, like every player in this draft. But, for me, tackling ability, bad angles, and because he necessarily hasn't played the position all that much, he's a little raw. But then again, great leadership skills. He's definitely got the speed. You can keep him on there in 3 downs because he's so fast and he can cover. So, I mean, I'm looking at it, from both sides of this point.
And you know what? It trips me out when people say great leadership skills. What is he going to teach Levante David? At a guy that's playing. No, I'm being all serious now. Just think about this when we bring up leadership skills. I said, what are you going to teach Levante David and Kendall Beckwith when you've only played linebacker for X amount of years? You were a running back
and mentor.
So who are you captaining on playing linebacker on a whole nother level?
You're talking about Devin White, right?
Devin White. Who are you coaching?
And don't be in such a hurry to get to your second contract, which you say is going to be $100+ million. I want the guy that's going to come in here from day one and earn that first contract, even if it's not as big as you seriously. Now he's got to deal with Nike already, so maybe you're thinking, we got a guy.
He might be $100 million. Nike will give it to him.
Right.
Well, and I'm not saying he won't be, but is that the kind of player coming right off the bat? Would Dungy have drafted a player like that? Absolutely, positively not. And it's not that he's a bad kid. It's just that with that kind of attitude coming in, you want someone on, that's going to work hard from the day one, not already looking forward to their future contract.
Well, I look at it both ways. You don't like the comments with him referring to himself, but then again, you also like the fact that he has that swag, that confidence, where he wants to be the best linebacker out there, and that's what the Bucs need on this defense. A lot of people say he's a dog. You need more dogs on this defense. You haven't had that. So, and again, being a face of the defense coming forward, and Todd Bowles being able to be creative with him, blitz him on the outside, do you think Todd Bowles could definitely take advantage of that?
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to use him as a pass rusher, then that would help if you want to take him at 10.
Right.
But if everybody's so keen on getting a linebacker, like we just got rid of Quan and we went 5 and 11.
Right.
Right.
I mean, so
right.
We're just
What's the problem? What was the problem with last year? No consistent pass rush. And again, you can get that in the second or third round, but why take the chance?
And I think I commented on your show. I said, you have 3 quarterbacks in our division alone that have all been to the Super Bowl. You have to get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's why we've been getting eaten alive when we play it.
So are we saying, does Montez Sweat last to the teens?
He's going to fall. I told you, when you watch his tape,
You're not a Sweat fan.
I like Sweat. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying at that high.
Not a 5.
Yeah,
not
right.
a top 10.
But a trade back.
It's
a
a
trade
deal with
back.
the speed. Everybody's so rah.
I don't think he gets past the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
I don't think at 8, I think he gets taken.
I said with that speed, he has no bend. If he had that 4.5 or 4.4 speed and had Josh Allen's bend, oh my God, we'd be talking about number one overall.
And explain,
oh my Lord.
And explain what the bend is for the fans
you talking about when you turn the corner, what Von Miller does, can toss people to the side or go dip and rip around him, that type of bend. You know what I'm talking about, where it takes him like 2 steps to get to the quarterback, a Simeon Rice kind of stride. If he had that, we wouldn't be talking about Kyler Murray going number 1. Oh my Lord.
And we're live here on Blake and Blake Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Blake Cabell, Tampa Ray Kennedy, live here on Bucs Report. We forgot one of the biggest factors of coming out to the draft show 5 days from now. If you say Bucs Report in the sports web,
the beer.
The beer.
Yeah, beer.
Oh, so you get some free beer at the stadium.
And care of Mark Ferguson.
No, they didn't do that last year.
We're gonna be. We'll have the beer
they
here.
lost a lot of money there.
All right, let's go out to Bucs Report. Let's read some comments. I doubt that Carr can't start. I think he's talking about Derek Carr. We'll get into the Raiders and what they're doing or what they're not.
Oh, yeah, we had talking about that whole thing, sending everybody home and all that.
Yeah, Buchanan will be our honey badger. Jeremiah says, you agree with that?
Yeah, so he's gonna play. He's gonna play that nickel linebacker spot. That's gonna help run. He's gonna come play over tight ends and help in run support and pass support. Because Deion Buchanan was a safety at Washington State. He was one of those tweeners, too big to be a safety, too small to be a linebacker. But Bruce Arians found a way for him to play in the system.
Right. Somebody says, "Shut up, Alexander." That is.
He's getting his airtime. I can't be mad at him.
His airtime. We may have to rethink about putting Alexander next to us next time because he wants to talk too. Nick says we should draft Devin White or Josh Allen. And we go 10-6 or better. Agree?
What? With just with them alone?
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
I mean, that's a good start.
I mean,
it's
sure.
A good start.
Just to say one player is going to change 10-6. I mean, we got to stay healthy. I guess we got to stay healthy. Injuries killed us last year, definitely in the secondary.
Sure.
Hurt when Vernon Hargreaves goes down week 1, and I was really looking forward to seeing how he was going to progress.
He was balling.
Oh man,
he was balling.
And the play hurt his shoulder on was a great play he made on Kamara coming out the backfield. I was watching the same thing he was watching.
Touchdown.
Kamara came out, he paused and read it, and jumped the route as soon as Breeze tried to throw it in. Sadly, he landed right on his shoulder, and that was it for him.
Now go back to that point with Devin White being drafted. A lot of people say, well, the reason why is because what you just said: Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey. Even Devontae Freeman being in this division, fast gap backs that can catch. You don't have a linebacker that can cover on this roster. Why not Devin White, Blake?
If that's what they want to do, but like I said, we had Quan and we had Levante here, and we still can't get in the playoffs, can't have winning seasons here. So clearly, having another linebacker is not the solution for this team.
Well,
but one thing we have been consistent at is lack of pass rush.
Right.
No, we were last.
Well, you know what?
Ago.
It's hard
We're
to
consistent at that.
It's hard to make those completions to McCaffrey or Kamara if those quarterbacks are on their butt, and and you break up the timing off the line. You could bring your defenders up. You can actually hit guys off the line to take the timing off. And if you've got Breeze and Newton and Ryan worrying about how many seconds, less than 4 seconds, they have to get rid of the ball.
Quarterback more than 3 to 5 seconds back there, you're going to get eaten alive.
That was last year.
Especially with Julio Jones running around out there.
It's been their problem, their Achilles heel since forever now. They have to get
keep not addressing it.
Right.
Like, we keep talking about everything
And you have
else.
a draft
Every
that's
this
deep
is
enough
loaded.
to do it.
It happens every year. Everybody wants something else. Every
Right.
year, I'm like, dude, like we were just the last in the league in sacks a year ago. No, we're not good. Just because we won another year and we made a couple sacks this year, we did all right. We need to do a lot better.
We had the best offense in the league going into week 5, but we still couldn't stop anyone to save our life. And how did it feel? It didn't feel great.
No,
I mean, we felt like, oh, this is awesome because we were getting all the love from ESPN and the national TV. But then we all knew as Buck fans that there was the Wizard was behind the curtain, and we knew that the Wizard wasn't an offensive or defensive genius.
No, not at all. And what you're watching right now is Blake and Blake Sports live here at Fergs and on Central Avenue, 1320 Central Avenue. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell and Tampa Ray Kennedy. So let's go back out to Bucs Report. At this point, I think the Bucs are tired of losing, so a winning season is coming. I like it. Trade McCoy and draft White. Michael says make cap space. Of course, you would make cap space if you get rid of McCoy. It's a foregone conclusion, in my opinion, that McCoy is gone.
You trade Brate, you'd also make some cap space too. But
well, I mean, again, though,
that.
Here's the point, though. If you get rid of Cameron Brate, not only have you got rid of Deshaun Jackson, who by all means didn't belong on this team because he was a cancer, but also Adam Humphries, who was second in receptions, who was a security blanket for Winston, and then also another security blanket for Winston being Cameron Brate. That's a lot to get rid of on this offense.
O.J. Howard can make a lot of blanket, though.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I'm not saying I want to get rid of Brate, but I think there's
a fair
teams.
point. Is there a Paul Gruber type in this draft? Blake, is there a Paul Gruber type? Is Jonah Williams is he getting a bum rap?
They're talking about moving him to guard, actually.
Right. You hear him. He's a left tackle in college. Great footwork, great technique. But then his arms are too short. Then he's falling down. Now the rumor mill is that he's going to be a top 15 pick. Is he not? What about a Jawan Taylor from Florida? Are these two type of players that could be a Gruber type?
When you say any offensive tackle from Florida, you know what name first comes to my head?
Kenyatta Walker.
There you go.
Kenyatta Walker.
Kenyatta Walker versus Julius Peppers for years was not a ideal matchup
well, Julius Peppers
at all.
is obviously a first ballot Hall of Fame.
Julius Peppers versus anybody.
Shoot, even Trueblood, Jeremy Trueblood took a few beatings from Julius Peppers. Everybody did, but
turnstiles when he faced
turnstile. Again, if you're drafting him, then he's got to start. Then why did you re-sign Dotson? Then why did you re-sign Donovan Smith? You wasted your time picking offensive linemen that high when you just signed two others just this offseason.
Right.
That's my only thing with the offensive line.
And I think Alexander agrees with you.
Yeah, I agree. He does.
Yes, that is my dog in the background. I decided to come have him out today. It'll probably be the last time.
Yeah, you blowing it, son.
Yeah, hey, be quiet back there.
He talks more than me.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. All right, let's see. So again, free beer, of course, Fergs draft party 5 days from now here on Central Avenue. Again, with yours truly, Al Keck and Pat Yasinskis.
You saw Pat's Facebook post yesterday,
I
right?
did, man.
He's excited. I'm excited. I was excited when I saw that.
Mark Ferguson came to us and he said, I've always wanted to do a draft show. And I said, well, why didn't you ask me before? But everything is coming together here on Bucs Report, 60,000 following on Facebook, bucsreport.com, all the great writers. And we're going to try to get as many writers, as many personalities on Bucs Report that night and also the next 2 nights on Friday and Saturday. So, all right, let's see here as I can read. Second round cornerback, Burke from LSU. Corey likes that name. What do you know about Burke? You like Burke from LSU?
There's a lot of good corners in here, but that's not a need. You're picking at the top of the second round. It's got to be another defensive lineman.
That's what I'm saying.
There's too many defensive.
Double dip.
This is what I'm talking about.
Right.
We want to move to other positions when we're yet to addressing what we need. You got to get this defensive line fixed, man. Like we talked about this. The Giants won 2 Super Bowls with third-string corners. Why? Because you had a plethora of defensive linemen against the champion New England Patriots. Yep. It's a recipe for winning when you have a pass rush.
Yeah. There you go. San Francisco 49ers will not make the playoffs with Kyle Shanahan. Agree? They got a lot of talent. I mean, they're building the defense up. The question is, Jimmy Garoppolo, is he going to come off that injury at this point?
Too, yeah. Okay.
And Garoppolo's coming off that injury.
Right.
And San Francisco already invested a bunch in the defensive linemen. So that's why I'm curious where they're going to go more. They're finally going to address the secondary here.
Did anybody sign Mason Foster? I mean, I heard this
Foster's
week.
been with the Redskins for the past couple of years.
That's what it was. They picked him up right when we still had that stuff
Another
going on in Tampa
linebacker
here,
we let slip
they
through.
said this week there was no charges.
No, that was between the Schiano and Lovie Smith era, trying to turn Mason Foster in a cover 2 deep linebacker. That's not what he plays. Again, you're trying to make an apple be an orange. That's what we do here in Tampa.
Exactly. Somebody said or cake, so I guess they're talking about Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he said he had a lot of cake. It looks kind of beer to me. It looks like a lot of beer.
Oh, yeah.
You got to cut down
he's
on
loving
that.
the Florida.
Do you all think there's any truth to the fact of Mike Evans playing on both sides of the ball?
Mercy.
No.
Come
Why?
on now.
Look, I get it. He did it in the Pro Bowl, but why take the chance to put him in that situation of him playing cornerback when you may lose your top wide receiver? I wouldn't do that at all.
So
I get
asking him to
injuries.
risk his body tackling somebody.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. If we're up by 7 points,
No, I don't even
and the
want
other,
him in.
well, I'm just saying that we have the other team. You know, okay, the last game of the year, we need to make the playoffs. The Falcons have the ball on a 20-yard line, and it's 4th down with 3 seconds left.
No.
Arians is the kind of coach, though. He's a player's coach.
No biscuit.
Well, he's a player's coach, so if a player goes to him, they might.
The only way I put him in is for them Hail Marys. Like I seen them put Moss and Calvin Johnson.
That's the only way he gets
Not
in.
from the 20. That's too close.
No, I mean from their 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's if you throw Mike in there, so you got one of the tallest, best pair of hands on your team, right?
Yeah,
bat it down.
But there's no way he gets in.
It didn't work very well for Rob Gronkowski.
Yep, ran right by him.
Ran right by him. Didn't take a good angle at all, but I don't know. I guess you could see him thrown in there on that type of play.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
As going a two-way player, no way.
That's stupid.
No,
not with the money you pay Mike Evans to be a top receiver.
Just imagine if he goes down injured.
Just twist his ankle
trying to tackle somebody.
Right. Jim says Jameis is going to play lights out due to the last year of his contract. A new offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich, of course, Bruce Arians. And I went out there, put this on tape right now. We're here live at Fergs on Blake and Blake Sports. Jameis Winston will absolutely thrive in Bruce Arians' system.
Yeah,
he will be comeback player of the year, and there will be no more conversations on if Mr. Winston needs to be paid as such as a franchise quarterback.
I've spoken on this time again. I'm not going to go much into it.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Last one out.
Give him a new contract right now. Save yourself $20 million. You sign him this year. If Jason Light, if you don't think,
way.
then you know what? I'll tell you what.
If I'm the agent of Winston, I do not ask for a new contract.
Well,
prove yourself.
And then here's the thing. Let's go ahead and let him have an let him have an All-Pro year this year and go to the Pro Bowl. And next year we're going to say, okay, 3/4 of the team, we can't afford to pay you anymore because we're going to have $300 million or $225 million tied up in one player, 33% of our cap. But we'll figure a way to spread the rest out amongst you, and we'll be like these other teams, and we're already in cap trouble.
Winston's that kind of player. I don't think he's going to try to burn us in the contract anyway.
That's why you get him new now.
Yeah.
I think you try.
Well, Peter's point. That's the thing. Ray, it's not just the Bucs' decision to re-sign Winston, right?
No,
it's
I know.
Winston and his agent's decision if they want to sign that.
Sure.
So it's a two-part system. It's not Winston's favor to sign right now, especially if you go and have a lights-out season. It'd be in his best interest to wait till the end to re-sign.
Exactly. I mean, he's not going to take a hometown
Bucs
discount.
can offer a contract all they want. He doesn't have to sign it.
Well,
Exactly.
I'm not trying to but let's say Quan Alexander sacks him in the first game, and God forbid he hurts his medial collateral, and then he's out the entire season. He may have just lost $30 million because he didn't think about going early. So it is a poker game, but hopefully at least the Bucs and his representatives are sitting at the table talking about that poker game because it could go either way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, let's see here. Where do you get one of those Bucs Report polo shirts from? That's Unlimited Logo, 1812 Main Street in Clearwater. And also tell them the Sports Web and Peter Blake sent you along with Bucs Report. So we like the polos. We want you to join us here as fans. 60,000 following, as Alexander agrees, and I can see why. Alexander wants to write too, I guess. I was talking about Peter when he made a comment about pudding. Yeah, definitely pudding and cake and whatever else.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Go back to the Raiders thing.
Yes.
What y'all think about that?
I think it's absolutely ridiculous at this point, although Daniel Jeremiah, who wrote an article, said that this is kind of the normal thing now. 2003, there were scouts looking at the draft board. Now it's only the top 4. It's the coach, the GM, the college scouting director, and the scouting director overall that only look at the board. But for Mayock and Gruden to send their scouts home because they don't trust them tells me, A, they really don't trust them, and B, most likely a lot of these scouts are going to be fired because they're from the previous staff with McKenzie, when Reggie McKenzie was there, who, by the way, Raleigh, his brother, actually still works for the Raiders. So the whole
mess.
secrecy thing, the whole Raider thing just seems very weird. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Dwayne Haskins, that's been the main rumor of him and his stock possibly going up because the Giants want him. Those comments the other day from Mike Mayock saying basically in so many words that Derek Carr is a franchise quarterback, but he's not our franchise quarterback, leaves that door wide open for them to take somebody like Haskins. What do you say?
Raiders are a mess, especially with the whole Gruden thing coming in. This has been pretty much what he's built up all season. Everybody pretty much gave him a pass last year. No one really had any expectations on John Gruden and the Raiders last season. Y'all agree, right?
Nobody had any expectations. If anybody had any expectations,
that was on purpose. That was on purpose because they wanted to disenfranchise the Oakland fans because they got Las Vegas to look forward to next season.
So he comes in, trades away all the staples of the team: one offense, one defense, one being and Cooper, one being and Mack. And now you got these picks.
The worst trade.
He will always be remembered for that, John Gruden. It's going to come back to bite him forever.
And to me, if Josh Allen is on the board at 4 and you take a quarterback for Josh
the Raider
Allen,
fans are going to storm the building, and I don't blame them.
It would be a John Gruden thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to turn that into more draft picks for next year because again, next year they're in a brand new $1 billion stadium in Vegas. Why would they at this point? What do they have to do if they make their Oakland fans happy? They're going to make it harder to get the moving trucks out of there in 12 months because, trust me, when they do get out of there, if this Raiders team did see success, those Oakland fans, you think they look ugly on TV, they're going to be pissed.
Yeah.
So, maybe the Oakland even takes that number 4 and turns it into 2 more number 1s next year.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I think the Washington Redskins, with Kyler Murray not to go visit them, I think they're definitely interested in Haskins, and because of the relationship between the brothers there, the Gruden brothers, and then also Doug Williams recently working with John Gruden, I could see the Redskins trying to trade up to that 4 spot, get their quarterback, and then the Raiders trying to accumulate more, possibly a first round next year because they're trying to set themselves up.
Maybe a 1 and a 2 and something this year.
Gruden's never been a strategic kind of guy. He's been an impulse kind of guy. He's going to pick the guy he wants, and you're just going to have to live with it.
That's it.
And with the whole, like we were talking about sending everybody home, that not trusting people thing, that's just crazy. 5 days before the draft, and you're sending everybody home. You guys look like you clear from what it looks like. You guys don't have a clue what you're going on in this draft.
No.
And I think they're going to screw this draft up, to be quite honest. If you're sending people home already 5 days before the draft.
Yeah, and you have 3 first-round picks. You have to get a defensive end.
The slam dunk this.
You really have to get a defensive lineman. I could see Quinnen Williams going there, and that would probably hurt a lot of Buccaneer fans' feelings. But look, Mayock had him top on the board. He could be clearly the best player in this 2019 draft. I mean, I get it. They drafted defensive tackles, but really you can't go wrong with Quinnen Williams.
Looking back at the Khalil Mack, though, trade, okay? They still had him another 2 years in his rookie contract, right? So why did you trade Khalil Mack last year for some big draft picks if you're not looking to why would you turn around and want to draft a top defensive lineman this year?
Right. I mean, and that's what I always say with John Gruden, he should be an X's and O's guy, not a person that's going to make your player personnel decisions because of his past.
We've seen how that works. We've seen how that works.
If Oakland went 0-16 and had the number 1 draft pick next year and decided to go with a certain quarterback from Clemson, and they had 5 other draft picks, number 1s, because they've been trading them away, does John Gruden is there even talk about him getting fired as they move to Vegas into their new digs in the brand new Vegas stadium and everybody's rah-rah about that? I don't think so.
I think there's a definite possibility that he could take Haskins, according to Mike Silver, recent reports.
Man, if that
very
happens.
Connected. Very connected with the NFL. He says if Haskins was on the board, that Gruden would be absolutely tempted to take him. And then with Mayock's comments and just reading stories about Gruden getting back in the NFL and him saying in so many words, the biggest regret I had was not drafting a rookie quarterback. To me, it makes sense. Then again, it would also make sense from the standpoint of Gruden basically trying to play this smoke screen, try to play this poker game, which is what happens during draft time, and getting a team like the Redskins or the Dolphins or somebody of that ilk to trade into that spot. Maybe even the Giants, because the Giants now are supposedly interested. Not that they weren't in the first place. To me, it would just make sense to do it both ways, either way. What do you think happens? Do you think the Raiders take a quarterback? Did they take somebody like a Devin White? Because that's also been discussed with talking about the Oakland Raiders and John Gruden.
Well, Al Davis.
Or do you know?
Al Davis has always been a man for speed, so definitely Devin White would have been a guy he definitely would have looked at, or a DK Metcalf, because we all know he loves the deep ball and throwing high, but he's not there anymore. It's the son. I think the son is really leading on Mark. Yeah, the son's name is Mark, I believe.
Yes, Mark Davis.
Mark Davis,
right.
yeah.
You got it.
And I think he's really leading on Gruden to kind of push the Raiders in a new direction now, and that's why they gave him parts of share in the team and that huge long-term deal in Oakland, trying to bring his own flavor to the team. But I don't think Gruden's not that guy to build a roster. Gruden is an X and O guy. He's in love with.
Is Mayock the guy to build a roster? Do you believe in Mayock?
He's a talent evaluator.
Well, he's a talent evaluator.
Well, that's what you need. But is he the right-hand man of John Gruden, where he basically agrees everything with John Gruden? That's basically having Bruce Allen again, right?
True. I mean, but it's a difference between being a great talent evaluator and being a talent evaluator for your team, and how to transition that to how you're going to get most success out of the player that you're getting. That's why football is such more than grinding it out. It's a lot of mental game in this, and trying to get people, plug and play people to the best of their abilities. Hence why the New England Patriots do so well the way they do, and they move players every year, all the time, at every position.
Yeah. No, it's good. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I believe it. I think the same thing. I think that, I mean, we saw what happened with Gruden here. Gruden would fall in love with everything that came along, and then he'd bring it in here, and the experiment didn't work. I think that, and I don't think Mayock's a salary cap guy, so they got to have that guy. No. But, you know, again, with the moves they're making right now, I was saying this last year, the moment Khalil Mack was traded, I said, oh, well, they're just looking because in 2020 they'll be in their new stadium.
Sure.
So they're on a 24-month honeymoon period right now. So if you're looking forward, you see all these Major League Baseball teams, get rid of everybody, let's start from scratch. So, I mean, is this the year that they start drafting? Do they take the number one again and get like 4 number 2s and a number 1 next year and continue building up? Because eventually, if they do utilize those draft picks with any kind of common sense, they may have a phenomenal team.
And it always goes back to this, ladies and gentlemen, and what you're watching right now is Blake and Blake Sports live here from Fergs on Central Avenue. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Blake Cabell and also Tampa Ray Kennedy. Carr is not Gruden's guy. So when you get a new coach, you better have that new coach informed that this is the quarterback. If not, then most likely he wants his own guy, and I think that could be the case here either this year or next year, where Gruden gets his guy, wants his guy. I'm not sure Carr is in the long-term plans of the Raiders, just my opinion.
He has no investment in Carr.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question then?
Sure.
So if Kyler Murray is number 1 overall, and Kyler Murray, I can't wait to see this kid play. Just like I can't wait to watch the Browns play. I love Baker Mayfield. I mean, these guys.
70 touchdowns, Cliff Kingsbury's offense.
He's phenomenal. But how far down do you? I don't think another team in the league is going to give a first-round pick for number 11 last year, Josh Rosen. Do you think that he goes second? That someone can give up a second-round pick for him? If so, do you think the Giants might do that?
I mean,
Josh Rosen shouldn't win the first round to begin with.
I mean, what kind of value does he have? I mean, 11 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, over 2,000 yards, but you really don't know what kind of value he has because he played on a Cardinals team that basically didn't have an offensive line, was missing David Johnson for most of the year last year. So I'm not sure what to make of Rosen, but coming out, he was a top 10 draft pick, so I think he would have to get a first-round pick at this point, right?
Okay. I mean, everybody and their grandmother knows that Murray is the favorite for the Cardinals.
Right.
So what team's going to offer the Bucs anything for a $13 million Gerald McCoy? Or what team's going to offer anything for a first round for Josh Rosen?
Right.
And I think that, Josh Rosen, I'm not saying that the Raiders would take him, but a team that could take a potential first round pick from last year that now has a year vested in the league, and for a second round pick, there's a team out there that's going to make that move, and it might be one of these Washington Redskins, New York Giants teams that we're talking about moving up for that quarterback.
Yeah, no, and I think the Giants are the team, and I think the Giants would have to get ahead of the Raiders just because of that fact.
I don't think the Giants move.
You don't think the Giants
Everybody says that every year about the Giants having the quarterback. They're content with Eli Manning.
And they have to have Eli for at least another year.
Does that make any sense at all for the New York Giants?
Every time, both times the Giants won the Super Bowl, Eli Manning, I'm not saying they're winning the Super Bowl for the record. and it's both times he wasn't playing well. Eli is one of those erratic guys up and down. With having Barkley takes a whole load off of him. And now you got the headache, Odell Beckham out of there, and then you play Ingram more, so they might play a little bit of different.
And you've got Saquon at running back, so I mean, who do you need a quarterback?
To get a quarterback. I know everybody's tired of seeing Eli because everybody wants the new thing, but they're not in a hurry.
So what if Pat Shurmur takes a second-round pick, trades it for a Rosen, still has a year to develop behind Eli for another year. Maybe Josh Rosen in 2020 ends up becoming, a Pro Bowl quarterback.
They took a quarterback, I believe, in the later rounds, in the second or third round, who they may want to still develop. But to me, it just makes sense for Haskins. He wants to be a Giant. He's from New Jersey. He's also willing to be a backup under Eli, and he's come out and said that.
He's still raw.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to need at least
But here's a kid, 50 touchdowns, 6'3", 231. He's got all the prototypical size and tools for a quarterback going forward.
Right.
To me, it would make sense, but, it's the draft time, so nothing really makes sense. We're only 5 days away from the draft party with yours truly, along with Mr. Alkek. Pat Yasinskit's here live starting at 7:30, but we will start at 6 o'clock with Tampa Ray Kennedy getting fans' responses, mock drafts, lots of fun going on. Friday night, we'll be back here about 7 o'clock doing the second and third round with Mr. Blake Cabell, possibly Leo Haggerty on one of those nights, trying to confirm. And then I hear Sean the Sports Dom will be back on Saturday, because the bet was he does not think Kyler Murray goes #1 to the Cardinals. He'll be here on Saturday. Yeah, you shouldn't bet me. The last couple of years, I've won both of those bets.
Let me ask you guys something. All right, I'll ask you. What player is available at number 5 that the Bucs, you don't even see they needed, but you can't believe he's there in the Bucs draft?
I think there's a possibility that Quinn Williams or Josh Allen is there just because of the run on quarterbacks. And if one of those players is on the board, you've got to run to that podium.
What if it goes Josh Allen, Quinn Williams, Devin White, Montez Sweat? Let's just throw that like there. Okay, no quarterbacks go number 5, so obviously the Bucs will be looking to trade back because there's got to be a team out there.
Then we would pick Nick Bosa.
Well, I would say no. I'd take you didn't mention Nick Bosa and you didn't mention Ed Oliver. I think, look, people don't talk about Ed Oliver because he was at Houston, but he wasn't used correctly.
He was used for what the team needed him to do. That's the part that hurts him.
He's explosive.
Dude, Houston, there wasn't much talent outside of him on the defensive line.
Right.
I'm just curious why he even went to Houston to begin with.
Right.
I wonder if he was really that good in high school coming up.
Well, Tom Herman. Tom Herman's a great recruiter at the time, and then Herman left the program and went to Texas, and he was stuck there. But, I mean, he had some disagreements with Major Applewhite, the coach, so people would look at that and say, well, that's a red flag.
Right.
Yeah, I'm willing to take that red flag over a player like Jeffrey Simmons who punches somebody in the face. Okay? And just to suggest this, we were talking about this last night on the Sports Web, the mock draft that came out. They were saying that the Bucs trade with the Falcons. They go down to 14, and take Devin Bush.
And to jump
Falcons
back up
take Ed Oliver, and then they jump back in with the Patriots and take Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, let's help out our division opponents. Makes sense.
Don't give them anything.
Right, exactly. It's ridiculous.
That makes sense.
All right, let's see here. Gruden always has a scowl on his face. He should be a Viking. Somebody says, who's better, Devin White or Sweat?
Well, they played 2 different positions, so I mean.
Okay. All right. Who would you take?
Oh, Devin White.
Okay. Over Sweat?
The only reason I told you,
lineman?
The only reason Sweat, I told you, doesn't really impress me. We're talking about our pick at 5.
Right.
Devin
22 and a half sacks.
Was it off the labor of Jeffrey Simmons as well? Like I told you, I said he got all that speed, but I ain't seeing where it transitioned to his moves around offensive tackles. I'm not seeing it.
What about with the pressure from inside with Villa?
With Villa? It's possible, but we're talking about his talent alone. So now we're saying now we're saying is his success is only off the labor of somebody else. So you're gonna pick somebody at 5. So his game is only good when somebody else is playing.
Well, that's what I was alluding to earlier. That maybe the Bucs could trade back to 10, 12, or 14, and a Montez Sweat is still on the board. That would, and we get an extra second or an extra second round pick.
Talking. I'm good with that.
I like that. I like that. All right, let's see here. The dog's bark is driving my cat nuts. He is so confused. I am so sorry.
Looking around.
Yes, Alexander is in the back. I brought my dog out today.
I said bring Alexander out here because it's not fair. This guy's here every day, all day on Saturday.
That wasn't a good idea because even though he's having a good time, he likes to talk a lot. So
he does.
I hope it's not interfering with the broadcast here. But we're live here on Blake and Blake Sports here.
So we're pet friendly, Peter. If you're watching.
At Fergs, yes, that's it. Bring your dogs down here, Central Avenue, 1320 Central Avenue. Live here in St. Pete. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Blake Cabell and also Tampa Ray Kennedy. We'll take some more comments, and then we'll wrap it up probably with some Rays talk and with the Lightning and where they go from
How about
here.
this weather?
Oh, the weather's
I mean,
unbelievable.
and I was coming down here.
Beautiful.
Then here's the thing: I walked out of my pool at night this morning, and the sun was coming up, and it was chilly, so we opened all the windows up. And here's the teaser: is that we had that hot, humid weather for a couple of weeks, and it's coming. We understand Florida, but then you get this cool weather, and you know what it does for just a brief minute? My circadian clock is tricked into thinking it's football season again, and we're rolling into October, and the Bucs are.
What are you gonna do about that 9:30 game?
I have no idea. Well, no, didn't you hear my idea? So I talked to Keith. We have breakfast with the Bucs Report. We're going to find a local eatery that'll host us for both the game and a breakfast brunch, and we'll take all the money and we'll put it toward a proceed. And I think that's a great idea.
Or we could just do it at Fergs.
Well, we'll do it because I'll tell you guys right now. If there's one thing about the NFL at 9:30 on a Sunday morning, I don't care if it was Jesus Christ and his 12 apostles. I just don't get up pumped for that game. Now, the Bucs are in it this year, so I am pumped. But I got to be with a group of people, and that's why we got to do something.
What about you? You're up at 9:30 on that game?
Yeah, if we got to. I get off at 6. So.
You just come straight here, brother.
You just
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, we got to.
If I go to bed, I ain't getting up.
I'll have a whole thing. I'll have some no-dos for you.
Corey's trolling right now. Ray's moved to Las Vegas. No.
Whatever.
You said common sense. That's not a Gruden trait. Brown 7
Exactly.
and 9.
That's what I'm saying. Ain't.
Boza, and somebody says, Corey says Bucs trade with the Redskins. You think they trade all the way down to 15?
If they're giving up something substantial, that's an option.
There's talent there. There's talent in the top 15.
And you're talking, if you want to offer me a first-round pick next year, too?
Yeah.
I'm willing to listen
First
to
round
that.
next year.
And I'll be rooting for the Redskins to lose all season.
Oh, you know it. And you got Dallas improving. You got the Giants.
Yep.
I think you got the Eagles are going to come
that.
back. So yeah, I would definitely listen to that.
I'll take it. My 5th pick for their 15th. And then I want the second round this year, and I want a first round next year.
That's
I'm
about
down,
that's
I'm down
the
for that. And maybe you slide me offensive lineman or something. You talk in there because they got that right guard they got too. We can work out something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move
Maybe
on
they take
here.
Gerald McCoy off our hands too and open some cap space
Hey.
up. Let's make it fair for everybody.
But I don't think McCoy goes to the Redskins because they
Gerald.
already
I don't
have
wanna
two
see him go anywhere.
Hosses there at defensive tackle.
It'd be
from
more
Alabama.
rotation, and the fact it'd be more for them to move up. That's
Sure.
why they would take him off of our hands.
Sure,
Bingo.
that's true.
Yeah.
I still say the Jets are in that situation where the Bucs, if they want to trade him to a team, it would work out both ways, where you get a middle linebacker, you trade McCoy, and then you trade up and you get a Quinn Williams.
Darren Lee. This
Right.
was that talk for a while, too.
Right, exactly. We're answering a couple more questions, and then we'll talk about the Lightning and also the Rays, who lost last night. And I think this is a big series, if you would not agree, against the Red Sox. Even though they've had an impressive start, you don't want to get swept by the Red Sox coming into this series.
We don't want to give them anything to feel positive about. Their pitching is having enough of a struggle. We gave them 2 back-to-back jacks last night. Our reliever did, and
no welcome home parties.
Right.
For Price.
No. Is he pitching tonight? I don't know. I'm gonna have to check it out. I think he might be because I don't think he did. He didn't last
might be
night.
pitching 2 tonight. So let's see here. Matt says Bucs and brunch, kind of catchy. You may be
Bucs
on to
brunch.
something.
I like
Yeah,
that.
Bucs brunch.
Brunch with the Bucs Report. This is my
Absolutely.
idea. I
Triple B,
trademarked
baby.
it.
That's
Yeah,
it. That's it.
triple B
Brunchin'.
here at Fergs.
And you know we'll have Leo Haggerty out there because the
He
guy
loves to eat.
He loves. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You and him got something in common. All right, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning first round exit
Can we not?
to Columbus Blue Jackets, and then yesterday Steve Yzerman decides to take the Detroit Red Wings job.
Well, yeah, that's kind of
it's a
no-brainer.
foregone conclusion,
That's
right?
no-brainer. That's like hardball coaching for Michigan, where you grew up at. That's every coach's dream, to coach the school you want to.
Questions for you guys. Do you think going forward for both of you gentlemen here, the Lightning are in good hands with Brisebois? And do you think they're going to make some big changes by trading a superstar, or do they just trade
Stamkos.
Yeah, I don't think
Oh
they
my
trade
God, he
Stamkos.
disappears in the playoffs.
Right.
Oh,
I
my
think
Lord.
they trade some fringe players instead of the superstars. I think they get rid of some defensemen.
But that's an issue, though, Peter. You don't take a shot.
Is that coaching?
You don't take. I don't know if it's him or coaching.
No, that
the
was
coach
the
can
way
only
they
do
cut-
too much. Is put the lines in. That's all him.
I say
shots.
you go out right now, you call Rudy Poshek, or you call or you call Cicerelli, and you get someone in here that after that first period, that first game, when they came back on us that first game, by the end of that first game, we should have dropped some gloves and kicked some ass and let them know that we were here to play. Instead, we continue to try to play that Detroit Red Wings fast Russian styled offense. And you know how to beat that? You put up the same zone that Jersey used to play.
Jersey, yeah,
you know, stopping them at the blue line, and that's the way to beat it. So we need to get some big defensemen in here and some tough guys.
And that was the issue last year. We have no
Well,
size.
it's always been the issue.
And we can't, it's like we just had this conversation with the Buccaneers. You know what the problem is, but yet you want to get something else. Fix the damn problem.
Yeah.
Fix the problem. Stop trying to get more elsewhere when you don't need it there. You got scoring, but you're giving up scoring. Vasilevsky, I'm sitting here watching this game. Like, this poor man is taking a peppering.
Yeah.
I said, you can't be letting your goalie
And they were
take
talking
4
about
on
switching
shots
goalies.
back to back to back to back. I said, one of them's going to slide. I felt like Drake saying back to back. And all the goals coming all the time. Like, Jesus.
Everybody tries to get through the regular season injury-free and healthy for the playoffs.
Isn't that what I said,
Yeah,
Peter? I could care less about the 62 wins. I would rather these guys sit
Toughen
home,
up.
get ready,
And get some young
healthy,
guys in there
and
toughen
come out here
up.
fired up. Exactly the opposite happened. You went for this record, got this town riled up, did a little trophy party, set expectations that you clearly did not live up to.
Right.
I said, and then you caught a team, an 8-seed team that was already in playoff mode because they fought their asses off to get into the playoffs.
With the coach who had the experience of winning a Stanley Cup with the Tampa Bay
They were
Lightning,
ready.
who out-coached John Cooper.
They were ready.
Right. So
You weren't.
Something has to change at this point. Boys, final thoughts.
You got this one. I usually do.
All right. So my final thought is, I want to see the Rays win tonight. I wanted to sweep with the Red Sox, but I'll take 2 out of 3. There's a lot of Red Sox fans here today, so hopefully they're all going home a little disappointed.
Tampa area.
Yep, that's it.
I know we're going to be in for a big shocker on Thursday night, so we'll be communicating with you guys at the stadium. We'll be here live at Fergs, so come down, have a great time.
Live at Fergs and live at Ray Jane with Mr. Keith Larson. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be very
We're going live
interesting.
2 locations.
Yep, two locations live here at Fergs and also live at the official Bucs draft party.
Think
from
I'm gonna
Raymond
suit up
James
for that.
Stadium. I do not think Alexander will be here next time.
Nope.
But thanks a lot for joining us here on Blake and Blake Sports. For Blake Cabell, Tampa Ray Kennedy, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. We'll see you later.